right, what's up, guys? We're live. Absolute Awesome Show, episode 20. We've got our regulars, Josh, Cliff, and Chris here. How's it going, guys?
Hello. 20, that's a good round number.
It is a good round number. It's almost an anniversary number.
Yeah. Good guest to have on the show tonight.
Hopefully. Hopefully.
So, we're waiting for our guests to arrive, so in the meantime, what's been going on with everybody?
Yeah. First of all, let's apologize to everyone who's like ready to rock with Joe Queer right now because we're still working on that. He's with us, but he's not here technically.
He's like backstage.
Technologically, he's backstage. Yeah.
He's in the green room, dude. We'll have him out in a moment.
We normally would be having him backstage and like waiting to bring him out, but you know, sometimes it's like, you know, like Axl Rose every now and then. He might be he's shopping in New York or something, but he says he's going to be here, so.
Without the weight gain.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
let's be honest. It kind of sounds like he's like no call, no show. He's on standby. He's just having difficulty joining us.
Yeah.
So he's not standing us up. I'm talking to him now. I'm just trying to figure out.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How this is gonna happen.
Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, while you're doing that, we should chat about Axl Rose.
Yes.
And the fact that these guys are going to be playing some shows next year as the original Guns N' Roses, even though it's only like 3 of them.
Yep. Do you think Axl's going to lose weight and get in shape and try to look like his old self?
You would think he would want to. You would think he would want to do that.
There's no way he can ever be good again.
His voice is still good. What are you talking about?
No.
Yes.
Man, I don't know.
You can't go by a live show, man. Live is everybody's like that live. I mean, it's just like not everybody, but you know what I mean. All them guys from back then are like that live, except for Michael Sweet. But everybody else is like that, and it's just like dropping words and whatever. Get older and tired, and they're still trying to play rock, and it's just the way it is.
For me, as far as Guns N' Roses goes, like I was always really I always loved Slash. I bought Slash's Marshall head. I bought PlayStation because Slash had a guitar that came with Guitar Hero in PlayStation. That was like a long 10 years ago when I actually played video games or whatever. But I never cared about Axl, and Slash was the only cool one in my opinion. To be honest.
Dude.
Yeah.
Slash is the only cool one, dude. Izzy.
Yeah.
Izzy and Duff were freaking awesome, man. No, not yes.
Get him on the show, and maybe I'll change my mind.
Man.
I don't know about Axl's voice these days. Like I watched a video earlier today where somebody had pieced together clips of live Night Train, live performance of the song Night Train.
Through the years, right?
88 to 2014.
Right.
And it just progressively got worse and worse and worse. And it's not that in certain instances in the 2000s he was terrible, but you could tell that it just wasn't 1988. It just wasn't the same.
I don't know. I listened to that same thing, and they played like 15 from like 1992 in a row. 15 different versions of it. But they were real scraggly too. That was when he was running around like crazy and, with the shorts and the weird stuff, and then when they came back, I don't know, he still has his high voice, but a live show is a live show, and there's got to be something about playing with a bunch of different guys that aren't the real guys. That's got to take it away, at least a little bit. I mean, how can he go out there and feel it the way he did when he was 24, 25?
No, dude, if you look at that,
with all them guys.
Just go on YouTube and look up, not right now, finish watching our show, and then go on YouTube and look up Axl Rose voice cracking or something. There's a show that he played live like a year ago or something where he's like doing Welcome to the Jungle and it's gone. Like his voice just cuts out in the middle of it and stuff.
That's the unplugged one, right?
Oh yeah, it was the unplugged one. Yeah, they're all playing acoustic. Yeah, it was like an award show or something. Yeah.
It's just weird. I don't think it'll happen. I mean, if you guys truly think Axl's going to go through how many cities? how many city tour they play? Like 28 cities. If you think that that's gonna last all 28 cities without Axl freaking out and canceling shows and ultimately canceling the whole tour.
Well, he
you guys
has
are
not
kidding
done that.
yourselves.
He has not done that in years. And all the tours that they've done for the last quite a few years, he's been totally professional, on time, and everything.
Yeah,
For real.
But him and Slash still hate each other. It's kind of like a whole pal thing. And,
Well, they made up, supposedly.
It's a whole pal thing. Listen, hey, I'm the one that's always like promoting the books. Remember, I promoted Bill Powers' book, and then there's like Monty from the last episode. So I'm gonna do one more book promotion right now. You guys should all go out and buy the Slash book, because this book is freaking awesome. It seems excessive, but that doesn't mean it didn't happen. Really.
All right, just a
None of this was planned.
just a Joe Queer update real quick. Here's the issue with him. He's on his laptop. He's trying to get to Google Hangouts. I'm also on my laptop. I'm doing the thing on my phone right now, but I have my laptop right here. So I went through kind of what he was talking about, and just to see if it was, I don't know, what he was seeing. I was trying to see. It kind of screwed me up too. So I told him to get on his phone, click the link on the link we sent.
Okay.
So
Does it sound like we're talking to share? Does anyone else?
Yeah, auto-tune, man. Why don't we make this episode 20, but have Joe on episode 21 in like 10 minutes? Can we do that? Do another episode? Start all over? Or no? Too late?
Yeah, let's try to give him a couple more minutes to get connected here before we
Let's go with
go to episode 21.
Let's do Chris, ask him if he has any friends nearby that have an iPhone, and then send them the link, and then boom, he's on. That's all we need is an Apple product of some kind.
Yeah. He
Even
can run
Android
down to his neighbor's house. Yeah, he can run down to his neighbor's house, get on their iPhone, and use their iPhone for the next hour and a half.
Well, I don't know. Does he have
I don't understand why that's so weird.
I'm
That
suddenly
seems
thinking
totally
about The
normal.
Sopranos and the old guy running to the neighbor and asking for ice cream. I don't know if you guys ever watched that show.
Isn't he in New Hampshire still?
No, dude, he lives in Atlanta, Georgia now.
In Atlanta now? Okay.
Or he lives in Georgia. I don't know if it's Atlanta.
All right,
Georgia.
so call up
Yeah.
one of the 710 Split guys, John Ladd. Have him go
Yeah,
over.
dude. Yeah.
We know people. All right, go have Jay Baker deliver an iPhone to Joe Queer, and we got internet history.
Jay Baker probably doesn't live there either.
He doesn't. He lives in New York. I forgot about that. Yeah. I'm blowing it. This show sucks.
You are,
man.
dude. You stink. You're stinking up
Can't
the
save
joint.
it. You can't
Yeah.
save it.
Chris
So
Rock.
Chris Rockville just joined the call.
So, Chris, what's the problem he's having exactly?
All right, he's on his phone. He's
on his phone.
If he shows up.
All right.
Well, hopefully his connection's better than yours.
I've joined this show on my phone before, and it was literally a click. It was a click. So we should be good.
That's how it is.
There he is.
Yeah.
My man.
All right.
Oh, gentlemen.
There he is. Way to go.
I was starting to get a little nervous there. And right in the middle of all that stuff, my computer that I don't usually use restarted, so it's like updating a bunch of crap, so that was totally not happening.
Dude.
Yeah.
So anyway, is this okay? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Besides the last 20 minutes or so, everything.
Man, between Chris's voice and Joe's face, it's like, wow.
We're progressing, man. It's episode 20. We're getting there. We're getting there.
Okay, cool.
Joe, man, we're happy to have you. And so the way this works, whenever there's a noise that comes from anyone, they're the picture that's on the screen. So, when a lot of people would love to see your ceiling fans and whatnot, but when you're walking around, that's what they're going to be seeing. But we want to talk to you anyway, and just kind of we want you to be the show in anyway, not us.
Okay, cool. I was going to go out and feed my chickens, but I guess I'll hold off a little bit.
Wow, between
You guys
stay
take
remote.
precedence over the chickens.
I know, dude.
Everybody's
We're-
got chickens. That's like the new punk rock thing, to have chickens.
Right.
It seems that way because CJ was feeding chickens, like
CJ got
he was
chickens.
talking about feeding his chickens when we had him on the show. Now,
See-
Joe, we were
CJ
just
has chickens?
yeah,
Yeah,
he has
really.
chickens. Yeah.
Oh, he doesn't have any roosters. He just has the girls.
Me too. That's the tune I'm singing. Yeah, just girls.
There's
No
Michael.
rooster.
Yeah, that's me.
Oh, I was like, how's somebody else getting in here? What's going on?
Is my voice better?
Yeah, it's
Wonderful.
better. All right, so
All right,
Joe,
let's
we,
get to some questions, man. Heck.
yeah, I mean, like right before you came in, Joe, we were talking about like where you are now, and like there was the idea that maybe you were in New Hampshire, but no, there was this idea of you were in Georgia. So where are you visiting us from right now?
Marietta, Georgia. That's
Yep.
where I live now.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
The home of the famous that whatever that club was that we played that time. What was that club called? It's probably not there anymore. What was it,
Swayze.
Mike?
The
The
Strand.
Strand.
Yes.
Yeah, is it still there in Marietta?
Which
Is there
one?
It's some like it's a big club, but when we were there, like
It
there
was
no
actually
one
a
there.
it was actually a theater. It was called the
Oh, yeah.
Strand, and it was in sort of like a square, like in town. It was like a sort of like a square block of buildings.
Oh,
Really old
yes.
theater.
That's Marietta Square. I think you're talking about the Strand. I didn't realize they did shows there. Yeah, I live about 2 miles from there.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, I don't think they've done shows there for a long time. The guys that owned it, they ripped all the bands off. People stopped playing there, and then that was the end of that. So that was a long time ago.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't realize they ever did shows there. So that's
Yep.
something I learned. Wow.
So what are you working on these days, man? You gonna do another album, or what's the deal?
Yeah, we're working on songs now, and I'm working on songs for a new album. We're not sure when we're going to record it, but in the next month or two, I think we're going to knock it out. So that's
wow.
that's the up to the minute report. It changes day to day, but yeah, I think we're going to go out west and work with Ryan from the Atom Age. He has a studio, so that's
So
out.
you're not gonna record in your
San Jose.
studio?
I'm sorry.
You have your own studio, right?
I actually closed it, but I'm thinking of opening it back up. But we're going to record out west,
Right.
so we're near Asia Man Records, and we're just going to go out there, so and use that studio. So
Well, there's
That's
something to be
good.
said about having fresh ears on your stuff. So absolutely.
Is that
right.
going to be a full length? Full length or?
Yeah. We're going to do
what?
14 songs, I think. So probably 12 original, 13 original, and one cover. I'm not sure. I don't know.
So how many full lengths?
When we record, we just kind of wing it and throw shit at the wall and see what sticks. So, last album, the song I thought was going to be like the absolute best ended up not even being used in the album. So you kind of, it's fun that way because you never know where the album's going to go musically. So it's a little more spontaneous, I guess, these days we record.
Right on.
Right.
Cool.
It's cool. So how many full lengths is this going to be in the Queers discography?
Ah,
15,
man,
20?
we used to do one a year there for a while, and then I don't know what this would be. Maybe the 9th one, something like that. We have so many albums that we can't even play anywhere near all the songs live.
How do you stay
so
from?
I kind of don't worry about getting another album out there as much as some people, I guess.
I'm trying to figure out what the secret is to not getting burnt out. I mean, you've been doing it since what, 82, 83? You've been at it?
It's called long
Well,
pauses.
They've
They've been masters of like the last 10, 15 years of just going at it hard.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
nonstop.
We didn't. We did our first 7-inch back in the 80s, but the band really didn't start till we got on Lookout, and then did one tour with Screeching Weasel, and then we went with Rancid, and then anyway, that's how we started. So basically, that's when the band really started playing back there in the early 90s. But yeah, I mean, hey, it's a great job. It's all I've really done for a living for 20 years. So I enjoy playing, and getting to see people, and I love music because there's the energy of there's always something going on, like I'm ordering merch today, and you guys and us, we're talking, and then tomorrow I don't know what's going on. There's always something around the bend in the river that gets you up and out of bed in the morning. I'm working on a book about the band, and there's just also a new album, so I really kind of feed off that energy like junkie sort of on drugs. It's just, yeah, I really like it. I love getting together with the guys to play, and we have friends. We're going up to Canada to see the Riptides, and in June we're going to go over and maybe play in Italy, and just we've got a tour with the Dwarves coming up in March. So it's just like, God, I keep waiting for it to slow down, but it never does, man. And I love playing. It's really a blast.
You know what is amazing to me? We talk about this a lot, but you really don't seem to be like this. Mike and I and a lot of guys, once they're in bands and they learn how to be a professional musician, they can't enjoy watching a show anymore, because you basically it's like the Wizard of Oz and finding out who the wizard is. It's the curtains down and you see what it's all involved, and you just can't get the enjoyment out of it. But I mean, you still like records. You still like listening into music and going to shows, and it's just shocking to me. How in the world do you like that?
Well, two things. Like I got to know Joey Ramone the last few years of his life mainly through talking on the phone, And the one thing that struck me, or one of the things about him that struck me, is how excited he was about music. It was really, it wasn't about how many chicks he had fucked or drugs he did or where he'd gone or whatever, but like he was always really into the next great song. He talked to me about his solo album and how he thought it should be better and he could do better and wanted to work on songs. He was really honest, but also, like, he'd call up in the morning and we'd just talk for 2 hours about T-Rex or Mott the Hoople, or he wasn't that much older than me, so but it struck me how excited he was after all that time, and his band was breaking up and he was still so excited about music. And another story along those same lines is my friend Jordan, anyway, her boyfriend was a musician in some band you might have heard of, NRBQ, and they were partying with Keith Richards from the Stones one night in New York City. It was just the three of them, and they stayed up getting fucked up, and she said, I said, what was he like? And she said, Keith Richards was, the thing that struck me was he was totally down to earth, very nice, but he was so excited about music. After all this time, he was so excited about music. And I was like, those guys are my inspiration right there. And I go, I still get excited about music. I get excited about writing songs, and you can't put a price tag on having friends all around the world, and it's been an education traveling around. And so I kind of like want to take a page out of those guys' chapter, out of their book, I mean, and that's how I feel about it. I'm still excited about
That's
music.
awesome.
Music's how I wake up, and that's how I met my wife, and how all my friends are, Ben Weasel. It's all through playing music that
I agree.
got where I am today.
Playing it, writing music, practicing with the guys, that's all awesome. But like trying to find a new band or going to watch a show, it's not there.
I mean, admittedly, I don't see a lot of shows myself, but
Right.
we did the last tour where that we're doing again, another 2-week leg up to Canada. We did this last tour too, with it's all local bands. So we made a point out of watching almost every single band every night. It was all locals in each city, So that was, I tell you, it was pretty fun, man. You meet a ton of great guys, and it was pretty interesting. The bands were there was a couple oddballs there, but most of them were pretty cool. So I don't know. I get a kick out of it, man. I can watch a lot of bands and just remember, sometimes I'm just thankful of where I am in music at the little level we've got at, when I watch other bands. But yeah, I don't know. I get into it. I understand where you get burned out though too. In the van we don't listen to music. We use headphones because it just gets to be too much,
Yeah.
But I don't know. I still don't mind watching too many bands.
That's amazing.
Joe,
Good on
you
you.
seem so Joe, you seem so happy these days. Are you like you seem like the enlightened Joe Queer? Have you had like a I don't know, like back in the back in the 90s, early 2000s, you were just like fuck everyone, you know what I mean? Like middle fingers
I
everywhere. I
never
mean,
really, I mean, people probably had some impression like that. You got to always remember, Matt from Rancid told me years ago, and Ben Weasel, anything negative, people are going to latch on to. So, you kind of, that stuff, that whole thing, what view people had of me, a lot of that was fallout from when B-Face left the Queers and started this campaign that Joe Queer's an asshole, and I still have people come up to me to this day and they're like, "Hey, dude, you are, I always meet you and you're like really cool and upbeat, man, and like, why did everybody say you're an asshole?" And I said, "Dude, it's all fallout from B-Face." And I mean,
well, I
I'm
don't
friends
know if
with
it's
B-Face now, no big deal, but it's all fallout from back then. But I was pretty much after we got rid of that lineup, Hugh unfortunately died, but B-Fish left, and I've had a lot more fun with the band, and I've had a few bumps and stuff, but honestly, I haven't, I've always been pretty upbeat, but
I think
that
like
wasn't the
I
side
think
people saw
outspoken.
of me, I guess.
I think outspoken is the better way to put it. I don't mean to be like, he was a jerk or anything. You were just
Right.
so outspoken, and especially what you hated about punk rock and, the bands that you hated. You know what I mean? And now
Are
it's
you
just
sure you're
like,
talking about
eh,
that's Ben Weasel, man, not Joe Queer?
nah, Joe, I've
Yeah.
read plenty of interviews.
Yeah, well,
And
I
the Warped
mean,
Tour and
I
stuff.
always, I always like bands that like kind of tell the truth rather than like, "Oh man, Voodoo Glow Skulls, I love them, bro,"
Oh
and
yeah.
Mustard Plug, I love them, and blah blah blah, and so I always thought punk rock was a way of seeing through the bullshit, and like I was like, if I don't like a band, I'm just gonna say it, and so I probably came across as an idiot, but that was just, I was kind of just saying how I have strong views on punk rock, I guess, and just kind of call it like it is when I probably should have kept my mouth shut, but
That
I don't
created the
know. I mean,
legend.
Joey Ramone told me, in this business, man, he said, the people that tell you the truth are gold. He said, everybody will blow smoke up your ass, but the people that tell you the truth are that they're few and far between. So listen to them, So I always try to tell the truth. So
Right on.
I guess that was it.
And if
Well,
you're
wait.
really if you're really striving to be good, you want to know that you want to get the truth out of people. Like when you play a show, you don't want people to just all be like, "Yeah, that was great. It was a great show. It was a great show." You don't want to hear. If you really want to be good, you want to be the best. You want to give me the negative. Tell me what's wrong. What
Well,
can we
that's
do,
right. You got to be honest with yourself. I have bands, and some kid sent me something the other day from Australia. He's like, "What do you think?" And the song sucked, man. And I said, "Dude, you want to hear the truth or the bullshit?" "Oh, I want to hear the truth." And I could tell he was pissed off. The song sucked, you guys. I mean, it fucking sucked. But
I know it sucks.
yeah, you've got to be.
it sucks.
You've got to be, honest with yourself, but also, yeah, you listen to people, the people that, like Joey said, no ulterior motive, that they're just like telling you, you got to listen to those people, and that's how you learn, If you only want to hear the good stuff, you'll never learn, you'll never get better, really,
Yeah.
Yeah, so you talked about doing a new record, and I mean, I don't know, what are your thoughts about how music gets to the people these days? I mean, like a lot of people aren't interested in buying a physical product. There's a lot of streaming. There's a lot of online stuff. I mean, like what are your thoughts on how you get your music to people these days?
I mean, you'll notice all the people that are for free streaming, giving their music away, they're all millionaires. I mean, I think it kind of sucks. It's cool that everybody has access to it easily, but on the other hand, it sucks that you don't get paid. You'd like to get I mean, we get some royalties, certainly nothing like we used to. And so, I mean, there's pros and cons, I guess. I like the fact you can get out there a lot easier, but getting paid for it, yeah, that part I don't like as much, quite frankly. But hey, that's the way it is, you know.
Right, making a record these days is really nothing more than just an excuse to have new songs or to get people more excited about your band. You definitely don't get anything really out of it anymore, for sure.
Right. It used to be, you know, certainly with vinyl, I remember, you know, growing up and you'd grab the new vinyl and you'd just pour over the album for the artwork, the littlest stuff and the credits and the smell of it. And, you know, then CDs, it just had more value, you know what I mean? It was like making an album on tape. You know, you pick up a reel of tape and it's, you know, 25 pounds. You're like, damn, this is an album, man, you know, and then, you know, now it's all on computers and stuff, and it's kind of like part of that throwaway, toss-away generation, I guess. So, you know, having said that, we still sell quite. I mean, vinyl sells like very well for us, and we're pressing up CDs still, because we sell them on tour, and a lot of people, if they can meet the band, they'll buy CDs. So, you know, but yeah, certainly it's the you know, days of getting those nice big royalty checks, they're long gone, really, for us.
Yeah, you get probably like, well, I think, you know, with Spotify and all that stuff, you probably get enough for, you know, to buy yourself some dinner every now and then. But I know that it's like really, really spread thin when it comes to that stuff nowadays. But that's why you tour, you know, and good for you, man. You're still going, and this next tour coming up, it looked like it was, I don't know, over a month, right? Or is it only 2 weeks? You say it was only 2 weeks?
Start a week from tomorrow. We got a weekend in Georgia, Savannah, Atlanta, and then Montgomery, Alabama. They're all like kind of on home turf. So then we start 2 weeks from Friday. We start a 2-weeker up to Canada, and then we're off for maybe a week or two, and then we head out west through Texas, hook up with the Doors out west, and then meander our way home. That's about 3 weeks. So yeah, we're busy for the next 2 months, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's good.
Joe, I got a couple questions for you. The first one is, Mass told me years ago you were doing it obviously hasn't come to fruition, but I would love it if you did it, but he said you were doing a Beach Boys cover record. Obviously, we've heard several songs, but maybe that was just something he thought you were going to do. Was there any truth to that? Are you ever going to do it? You do those songs so great, it would be awesome.
Yeah, no, I don't remember that one. Maybe he had asked me about doing it, I think, but no, I was like kind of like, I like doing a few of the Beach Boys songs, but to do a whole album, I just wasn't into it. A few people have asked us, and some labels asked us, but I don't know. I just wasn't into it. I don't think it's like redoing the Ramones albums. I thought that was a stupid project because I was like, you can't improve on the Ramones. You know, they're just like perfect. So I thought it was dumb. At the time we did the Ramones album, we needed stuff to sell on tour because all we had was love songs. So that was kind of why we did it. But yeah, the Beach Boys anyway, no, I just, certainly not now because it would just, you know, be a waste of money, really, I guess. I mean, we're lucky because we do tour and we can sell the stuff on tour. So, you know, if we press up CDs or vinyl, man, we sell out. So if we can get our asses off the couch, then certainly we could sell the stuff. But yeah, I don't know. No, I don't think so.
It would be awesome. But okay, my other question is, do you realize how much of an impact you personally have made in the punk rock scene? Like, just do you realize the extent of the influence you personally have had?
I mean, not really, no. You know, whatever. No, it did. It used to surprise me when, like, I would say something about Fat Mike or something, and like, you know, it would start some firestorm. You know, it was like it just kind of gave me. I was very surprised that I had any voice on the scene. But it's nice, you know. It's nice. It's been really cool, and you can't put a price tag when kids come up and say, "Oh my God, Beat Off" or "Move Back Home" or love songs, whatever. You know, "Don't Back Down" got me through high school, or it got me through some hard times, or you know, that song really meant a lot to me, and so that stuff's really cool, you know. And I get that. I've gotten that from Russia to China to Japan to Italy to Brazil, you know. So that's kind of cool. But I mean, I don't really pay attention too much to the other stuff.
Right on.
All right, so I'm gonna say it, Joe. Every time you talk, your picture comes up on the screen. All right, so you have your phone an inch away from your face, and nobody can see your beautiful smile. You know.
I'm
Pull it back a little bit.
I'm looking at the little icon, and it looks like it's okay.
You
Sorry
gotta
about
pull it back a little bit. There you go.
Better?
Yeah. Just hold it there. You're good.
It's his
Okay.
thing, man. He's kind of known for that hat, man. That's just
I know. There you go. That's perfect.
there you
Yes.
Nice.
Here's that.
Well, we're gonna real quick. I'm gonna throw a couple audience because we had a couple questions from the internet come in, and I'll throw one at you, and then we can keep the conversation going. But speaking of the tour that you got coming up, I know it doesn't include this, but this is the question from Miguel Morales. He wants to know when you're coming back to Puerto Rico. Any plans on that?
Were you just there? Like, kind of recently?
Yeah, we were there about maybe 8 months ago. No plans, but we probably, if we're down in Florida, or when we go down to Florida, we'll probably, you know, check on it and maybe fly down for a show. It was fun. It was our first time down there. It was pretty crazy.
Right on.
There you go, Miguel.
Come on, Miguel. Man, I want to know, when are you coming back to Ocean City, Maryland? Or no one's ever been here.
Oh, Ocean City. Where is Ocean City, by the way?
Yeah, I know,
Nobody
right?
knows unless you're
Exactly.
from Maryland, but he asked everybody to go.
Nah, but Joe, seriously, if you do,
Sure.
I know you like seafood. We got good seafood here.
Love seafood. My wife's Japanese, so she loves it too. So
How do you like being married?
I gotta tell you, man, I love it. My wife she's a school teacher, and she does really well as far as touring. You know, I had, you know, a few girlfriends, they just couldn't handle it. I'm sure you guys all know about that, man.
Yep.
So no, my wife does really good, and so we make it work. You know, it's been great. We've been married now about 9 or 10 years.
Wow.
Awesome.
So Joe, who's in the queers now? It's you, and your lineup changes every tour. So who's in it now?
Yeah, well, yeah, it's pretty much been like a solo thing. But lately we've had Alex, aka Hoglog, on drums from Teenage Rehab. He did our last album, and so he's sticking around. He just bought a business. Him and his brother bought a video game store place. I don't know, something like that. And so they share running that, and he's going to tour. He wants to play full time, so we're doing that.
Is he the big guy?
And,
Is he the really big guy?
And then on bass, I was using Chris from the Dwarves, and but lately Patrick from Parasite died, who I've known about 20 years. Lurch, he just got burned out and stopped touring. Lurch from the Nobodies, and Dangerous Dave, he's out of the picture. I don't know what's up with Dave, and you know, I haven't seen him since he got thrown off stage and thrown out of the club in San Diego. Literally, I haven't seen him. So,
You know, I
but anyway,
wanted to ask you
it's
about
Patrick, Alex Hoglog, and I.
So that incident that happened in San Diego, that was like, I thought, because I saw, it was kind of crazy how public you were about how you felt about it, you know? And that you really didn't keep anything behind closed doors, and I appreciated that. I think everybody else did too. But I know a couple posts later, it was like, Dave's cool, everything's fine, it happens, whatever. But that that's the truth. You haven't seen or heard from Dave since that night?
Oh no, I've heard from him. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I just haven't physically seen him.
Well,
yeah,
okay.
no, we're in touch. I mean, I don't know. He kind of Dave was Lurch. I could see he was getting too burned out. He's too OCD, which he'll tell you. He was just getting too burned out for the road. But Dave, I was kind of surprised at. But he wants to get married, and he got a regular job, and so he was like, I'm going to stay home and work, I guess, dude. And so you know how it is playing music. It's rain, or you either got a lot of money or you got 10 cents in your pocket, and it's tough. So, but no, it's all cool. I mean, come on, he's not the first guy to get screwed up and make a fool of himself on stage in front of a crowd. So,
Sure.
That's not the litmus test whether I'm his friend or not. It's just like we talked the next day. He apologized, and it's like whatever. So,
Gotcha.
Awesome.
Because Dave's been your guy for years. I mean, he was on bass
Yeah.
for.
I was surprised. Dave was one I was surprised that he stopped playing. I mean, I guess he's doing the Bugs, but that one surprised me. I thought Dave was going to be a lifer. He was there since pretty much Punk Rock Confidential.
Right. He was your guitarist. He was the other
Yeah.
guitarist on that tour. He was awesome.
I don't know. To me, it's just not something I even think about playing music. It's just my life, and so I if I'm alive, I'm playing music, I guess. I have a lot of friends like that. Kim and Ronnie from the Mops, CJ, Richie's back playing. Dusty Watson, who's playing with the Sonics now. Just people that. Blag and those guys in the Dwarves. I mean, they're just lifers. We're all lifers. It's like not like, oh, I'm just doing this now and I'm going to quit and go work some job. If I get a good job, I'm going to quit. It's just that's not how it is. It's just like my life is music. So it's been great.
I think it's usually wife and kids that slows it down for most people.
Right. Well, I was just talking about this yesterday with someone where I see a lot of band guys, all of a sudden they have kids, and then that's it. It's black and white. They have kids, forget it. They're not going to play music. And then you have people like CJ or Dusty Watson that, have kids, and Ben Weasel, and they're still out there, and they're playing, and they're making it work. Alex Hoglog, my drummer, he's got 3 kids. He's like, man, it's just, I'm going to go for it. I want to, something inside us says we want to play music, and I just got to play. So, it's kind of like that is the litmus test to me. Like if these people have kids and they stop playing, I'm like, well, I don't know how serious you were, because it just wouldn't cross my mind. But I can see why people do stop, but it wouldn't cross my mind to stop. But we've lost a lot of musicians, good bands because of having kids. Chris from the Dwarves said that too. It's like as soon as they have the kid, man, a lot of these people just bail out and they think they can't play music. But then there's a lot of people like CJ that they're like they're still playing. So
Well, a lot of guys, they'll take a big, giant, long sabbatical. And it's because when you first do you have any kids or any that you know of?
No.
Just kidding. Do you have any? Okay.
No.
Okay. So when you have a kid and it happened, this is what's happened with me, and it's happened with a lot of guys. When you first have a kid, you have a feeling like I'm never gonna do this again. You sell all your gear. You just you don't give a crap. You go get a job. It's all about this, right? But then they get to a certain age, and then you start getting an itch. You know what I mean? And you start getting this feeling and this thought. You start thinking about it again. You look at old pictures again. And then you slowly, now you get your guitars again, and you start figuring out ways to do it again, because you realize they get old enough where, hey, I can take some time for myself and do this. It's all right. But I think it's just a natural thing when you first have them. You just go ape crazy like that. So.
Right. I was talking to Alex about this, Hoglog, and he really wants to play music. He was in a band, Teenage Rehab. I mean, they still play, but he never got to tour around and play even at our little level, the queers. But I was like, dude, some people are just like they can't be away from their kids, and I understand that. But I said, think of all the cool stuff that I was talking to Alex Hoglog about this. I'm like, think of all the cool stuff that your kids will be proud of you. The stuff that you learned about the world, you can travel to Europe, or he's been to Japan. I'm from Northampton, New Hampshire. I've been all over the world. Alex is from Paducah, Kentucky. I'm like, dude, ride it out, man. You get back and you can tell your kids, they'll be proud of you. You've had these life experiences that you can share with them. You learn about life, traveling around. Who knows when you get old, you make friends all over the world, and who knows, your kids might be able to travel around and go stay with your friends. I mean, there's all sorts of stuff, avenues that open up by still playing music, yeah, I understand where people, like Mike Park from Asia, man, he said, man, I don't know, I had kids, and he doesn't tour as much, and I understand, but then there's people like Weasel, and he gets out there and does it. But I think also a lot of it has to do with like the level you're at. For me, it's like what I do for a job, and CJ too, and Ben Weasel, and then if your bandmates are all drunk and you're just playing, Friday nights, every 6 months to get drunk or something, I could see where you would maybe stop playing,
Well, that's what it was like, Joe. I don't know if you know, along with the Huntingtons, Josh and I play for CJ, and it was we just got back from Europe, and that was like kind of the pressure, it was like, this is CJ's job, and as much fun as we're having, and as awesome of an experience as this is, this is how he makes his living, and Josh and I have jobs back here, but like this is his gig, and so it's like every night. You want to have those, you have a refrigerator full of beer and you got a handle full of Jack Daniels, and you're like, let's get on it. Let's party. And it's like, hold on, like, take a step back here. This is what he does for a living. We go out and have a bad performance. It's not Chris and Josh had a bad performance. It was CJ Ramon sucked here tonight. Right. And, you really have to keep that, that mentality the whole time, where this is, it's a career. It's a career for you. It's a career for CJ, for Ben, for all these guys. So you really got to stay on your A game,
Right, exactly. It's like I learned that from just watching the pros. Marky, I played with Marky there off and on for a year or two, and Dusty Watson I learned a lot from. The Hard-Ons from Australia, when we brought them over, they're like, man, everything revolves around the show, and so they were very serious about it, no matter what level they were at. It was like Marky. One big lesson, I just posted this on Facebook. One lesson I got from him, we were in Palermo. We had to fly in from Barcelona. We were based out of Barcelona. The crew was driving to Rome. We had one show in Palermo. We had to fly in and borrow gear from the opening band. There was maybe 260 people paid, maybe. It was a smaller little shit show. We showed up there, man, and Marky stayed out there in the hot sun and had to mess with these drums, and they were cheap crapo, entry-level Pearl crapo drums or whatever, and Marky stayed out there for like 3 hours in the sun. I would have called it and said, forget it. And he stayed there, and he changed the heads, and he tried this kick drum, and back and forth, and man, he stayed out there. And when we went on that night, I remember like thinking, we sound like $1 million, and it was a real good lesson, because Marky he approaches the same. I've seen him do it, whether it's 250 people or 25,000. I played both with Marky, and so it was a really good lesson. But yes, you're right. You're there with CJ. It's his band. I mean, it's my band. So my guys are real serious about it. We can't get on stage like Dangerous Dave in San Diego. And so, yes, yeah, you're playing for CJ. You want to, or anybody, and people pay. You want to be serious about it, And it's not just raw ability that separates a lot of musicians between the pros, the Markies and CJs and whoever, Metallica or whoever, and the rest of us guys. It's the way they carry themselves at shows and being ready for whatever comes around the bend in the river, and that's what's really cool about playing with people like Marky or CJ or whatever. But yeah, the whiskey and all that, forget it. It's like you do that stuff when you're home, not out with people, paying good money to go see a band over in Italy or something like that.
Right.
Got to be serious about it.
Coming from the guy who wrote "I Only Drink Bud."
Yeah, I only drink Bud. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you guys, I mean, we used to drink like that early on. And it was great because, like, we were getting royalty checks. It was like winning the lottery. We were making good money from Lookout. And then we were showing up at, like, a Tuesday night in Mankato, Minnesota, and there'd be 260 kids there. You know what I mean? And we're like, and a bunch of them all wanted to party. So it was just like drinking beer. And then, you'd show up the next night in Kansas City, and there'd be 350 kids, and you're hungover, so you go get some blow, and then you do some blow, but you do too much, and you couldn't do too much because I couldn't sing, but if you didn't do enough, you were too tired, and then you're hungover, so you had to get some Percocets, and, like, the next thing you know, it's all about, like, drinking and trying to get through the day and forget music, So it was a nightmare, quite frankly. So I don't miss any of that stuff at all.
Right on.
That's the way it is when we take Cliff on tour. He's just so many pills, man. It's ridiculous. But, yeah.
Oh, wow.
We got any more questions from the Facebook page?
We do, actually.
Right.
Tyler Tharl has asked, how did Joey Ramone get involved with co-writing I Want to Be Happy?
Oh, that was when Joey had asked me to work on songs for a solo album. Like, that was getting back that thing where he was really, really honest. He told me, he's like, man, I've got enough songs for the album, but he goes, stuff like Mr. Punchy is not strong enough, in my opinion. He said, people are going to say it's the best thing since Leave Home or Rock and Roll, high school or whatever. And he goes, but I know I really need some stronger songs, and which was pretty cool. So anyway, he had, years ago, the Ramones had wanted to cover Love, Love, Love. So our bass player years ago was Kevin Kesey. He knew Joey. And we sent a tape of our stuff to Joey, and Joey liked Love, Love, Love. So he wanted to cover that song. I can't remember. This was around 86 or something, like way back then. And Johnny didn't want to cover it. He was the one who said no. That's what Joey told us. And so Joey said, well, we're going to do Love, Love, Love. I'm going to give you this song that Johnny didn't want to put on End of the Century, Slug. So Joey sent us a cassette tape of Slug. So this was like, as I say, 86 or something like that. No, there was no unreleased Ramones song, so we were like, whoa. And we listened to that cassette tape at our rehearsal spot, and the tape was playing, and after the song ended, all of a sudden we could hear a guitar, and it was Joey strumming. He'd obviously used the cassette tape for working on songs, and he was working on the song I Want to Be Happy. So that's where I got that verse from, Joey singing on that. So this was like way back then, years before. And anyway, when he asked me to work on songs, I said, hey, do you remember a song, I Want to Be Happy? And he goes, oh my God, I do. And I told him the story, and he goes, no kidding, that's awesome. And I said, yeah, you were playing I Want to Be Happy, just a few verses. And he goes, yep, I remember that. And he kind of sang a little bit. And I said, I'm going to work on that stuff. And, called Ben Weasel, and we worked on it. And then by the time we finished it, Joey was too sick to, I don't think he ever sang anything after that. So that's where that song came from, though. It's a weird thing. And it's funny, it didn't get lost, between the cracks, but that was what happened. It was on that tape he sent Slug on. And the funny part about that, I can't say the story. I'll have to tell you guys privately. I think I told this to CJ. I don't want to say it publicly, but anyway, his phone rang, and he started talking on the phone. This is all this cassette tape. I told Joe he couldn't believe this whole thing, but I'll have to tell you guys that whole story because it's somewhat embarrassing to one of the Ramones, but it was pretty interesting. But that's where Slug came from. Yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, excuse me, I Want to Be Happy.
It's a great song.
Yeah,
Thanks.
good question. Good. Yeah, I was like, don't put the questions on the Facebook world. They're gonna be all when you come into Kansas and all that stuff.
Hey, this coming from the guy who the first thing out of your mouth was when you come into Ocean City.
I was just, yeah.
I was wondering if you knew where that was, actually.
Hey, Joe, I got a question. 'Cause I think we all have our favorite Queers albums, and I was just wondering if you had like a definitive. What is your definitive Queers album? If you had to pick one to give to a new listener who's never heard your band, what are you giving them?
Yeah, to a new person, I mean, either Love Songs or Don't Back Down or something like that. But, Monkey Brain, Pleasant Screams. We're really lucky. Honest to God, I think we've made some pretty good albums through the years. Beat Off and Move Back Home, we knew kind of sucked. We were so much better than those two albums. But Love Songs, I don't have for a long time when we first got going, me, B-Face, and Hugh, our favorite album was Grow Up. But I don't know, one of those albums, it depends on the day, I guess, which one is my favorite,
Are you ever going to put out a greatest hits?
I've been listening to Monkey Brain in the van lately, and I was like, man, that's a damn good album too. So I don't know if I have one, honestly. It's a lame answer, but that's it.
Chris, Summer Hits, where they re-recorded a bunch of stuff. That was the closest.
Right. That's another, yeah.
Well, I got a quick question. When's Volume 2 coming out? You can't call something Volume 1 and not have a Volume 2, right?
And if you're the Queers?
I guess you can.
Yeah, that was that title. I don't know if you guys know Helen Love over there in England. If not, check her out. She did that. They wrote that song "Girl About Town" that we cover on Monkey Brain, and anyway, that's where she said that was one of her lyrics. Summer Hits. She takes the tape from the glove compartment. Summer Hits #1. So I kind of used that title for that.
Right on.
She smokes cigarettes. Oh yeah, she smokes cigarettes with Joan. Wait, I can't think of the melody, but "Smoke Cigarettes with Joan Jett." That's one of the lines, right?
Yes. Yeah.
I love that line. That's a great record. I love Monkey Brain.
So I have a question for you, Joe. Your albums are really, really, really all over the place from one to the next, as far as like one of them just will really, really have it. Everything's in the right pocket. It's just unbelievable how it sounds, and then the next one isn't like that at all. And it'll have its own charm or whatever, but it doesn't have that. Like, is everything when you go into a studio, is there a purpose? Or like a thing with the way you like to have it, or are you just at the mercy of whatever comes out?
Whatever comes out, pretty much.
Really?
Yeah, whatever we had done. Don't Back Down was the one closest to where we had kind of a theme sort of mapped out, go more Beach Boys, Ramonesy, but and then Punk Rock Confidential was similar to that. But
Great record.
No, I don't know. I've got some punk stuff and some poppy stuff. I think this album's going to be more poppy, quite frankly.
Yeah, but I'm talking about like the recording process, the recording. Like, for instance, that split you did with the Mangies, I think it was with the Mangies, like your half of it, where I think Dusty's playing drums on it, right?
Yes, that's right, yeah.
That sonically, that group of songs that you recorded is some of the best stuff you have ever done. I mean, it's easily up there. Well, it's better as far as a recording than anything probably you've ever done. It's just amazing, and it's just like, what's the difference between one and the next? Is it whoever is engineering, producing? Is it all just luck of the draw? I mean, what is it? How does it work?
Yeah, a little bit of all of that, I guess. But to me, I think the main thing is the whole vibe of the group, whoever you got in there and how the energy is. Don't Back Down, we had great energy on that. Dusty was great to play with. I mean, I was excited to play with him because I met him drumming for Dick Dale, who, was one of my heroes way, way, way back when, because all my buddies were surfers, back in Hampton Beach in high school and all that stuff, and so we were all into Dick Dale, and so I was playing with Dick Dale's drummer, and Dusty's just so upbeat and so good for a project. I've learned so much from watching that guy. I think it's if everybody's, you get you get some of these people in there to record, and they kind of drag their heels. You guys know what I'm talking about. And it's just like, their attitude is like, they have no input, and they just want to get their parts done and go, look at porn online in their underwear, and drink a beer. And it's just like, just go, I like to be around upbeat, positive people. And so I think the best recordings, like this next album will be pretty good because, Hoglog is really into it. I think I'm going to use Patrick on bass from Parasite Diet. They're real energetic. And then Mike Park's going to be around. And Ryan from the Atom Age, he's a fill-in drummer of ours. He's going to engineer. So, yeah, I think a lot of it has to do with the energy from the other guys,
Absolutely.
Right on.
Yeah.
Hey, when you played with the Screeching Weasel in, I guess it was in Baltimore?
Oh, that's what I went to. Yeah, no, it was in
Yeah.
DC it was in DC, the Howard Theater.
Okay, and you were a three-piece. Is that the same? Is that your group now, or were those just two guys you just had on the road with you?
I'm trying to think. Yeah, Alex was there, Hoglog was there, and I can't remember who was on bass, honestly. Yeah.
I think it was Dave on that tour.
Huh? No.
No, Dave
No,
wasn't there. Dave wasn't
It was
there.
Joe
Yeah,
and I thought it was Joe and two like Mexican guys.
It was oh God, I can't remember. Alex was there, and then we left the bass. I can't remember. I got to ask Hoglog. He'll know. It was Alex on drums, Hoglog, and me, and I can't remember who was on bass. But the lineup, man, we've really started working on playing different songs and working on our set list, and so this last 2-week tour we did out in the Midwest and stuff, that was really good. So we're this lineup's playing really amazingly well, and because both those guys are enthusiastic, so we're really working on the set list and how everything flows from one song to another, and being spontaneous because we don't use a set list. So it's pretty cool. I mean, I'm excited to record with this group. So we'll see.
Right on.
Cool.
Hey Joe, wait. Let me ask. I know we got a couple. We don't want to go forever here. I know you probably got stuff to do. We'll wrap it up, and we got a couple audience questions want to answer. But if I don't ask this, my dad will kill me. So I gotta get it out there. But you mentioned, you and Joey Ramone talking about Mott the Hoople. My dad called me the other day and told me the news about the drummer, passed away.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, all these guys, David Bowie and the Eagles guy, all these guys, all these rock and roll guys dying, and like.
Wait,
and
the drummer? What drummer dying? What are you
the drummer of Mott the Hoople died the other day. And the original drummer.
They called him, Buffin. I can't remember his real name.
Yeah, Buffin.
Yeah,
something like that. But like, I couldn't remember his names. All I know is, I like Mott the Hoople a lot, but all I know is Ian Hunter. But anyway, so Mott the Hoople, big band that my dad was into, and he got me in. He basically got me into the music that I listen to this day, including the Ramones. But like, but with him passing away, it was like, okay, I'm hearing about this from my dad, who calls me like the day after he passed away, whereas the rest of the social media world was all over David Bowie and all that stuff like crazy. And then I finally see on your page you did a little tribute to him, which was cool. There's so many bands from that era that kind of sound like Mott the Hoople, but what do you think made them a little bit different to guys like you and Joey Ramone? Like, why Mott the Hoople? Why do you like Mott the Hoople?
Oh, well, I first got into him through Bowie. All the Young Dudes, he had produced that album. Yeah. And so that's kind of where my music education went, was into Bowie. And then so, from that, Lou Reed, Velvet Underground, and then Mott the Hoople was part of that, All the Young Dudes. So Dale Griffin, that was his name, Dale Griffin. They called him Buffin. He was the drummer.
Yeah,
And so, I mean, the songs were great. You know, Ian Hunter was a great songwriter, and he had that Bob Dylan-esque kind of thing with him. And so Bowie obviously saw something. They were going to break up, and then David Bowie kind of, saved them and produced that album. And he was going to give them Suffragette City, but they wanted another song, and then they did All the Young Dudes, which was great. But they were just great songwriters. They were a great band, and they had that goofy, total rock and roll look to them,
Yeah.
Ready for Love, Mick Ralph. That they did an early version of that before whatever that other band was when they got huge with that song. But they were just a great songwriters, I thought. And so, I think that's the short and long of it. They were damn good musicians, Even his solo stuff for Ian Hunter is great,
I still like to this day every now and then. No one knows what I'm doing, but I'll go every now and then. If it's like I'm getting my guitar tones on stage, I'll play the beginning riffs for Rock and Roll Queen, just because it's like open chords and awesome, and it gets the tone. I need.
Rock and Roll Queen, Roll Away the Stone, Honolulu Boogie, they're just killer songs. Once Bitten, Twice Shy. Whoever that song hit with that Ian Hunter song, I mean, we loved it when that first came out. They were a great band. I was lucky enough to see another story I told Joey Ramone about was seeing the Hunter Ronson band right after Martha Hoople had broken up. And thanks. And so they my wife just brought me some tea, thank you. And but anyway, what I wanted to tell you guys, it was super cool, was that Ian Hunter and Mick Ronson, they were great. The first band was Kiss, and I had heard their name, but at the time nobody knew them. And then the second band was Journey, and both of them sucked. I remember that, they sucked. And Ian Hunter and Mick Ronson came out, and they were really kick-ass. Basically, it was Martha Hoople, and all those killer songs. But they came out for the encore, and they just came out and started doing this jam, with Ronson playing like some insane guitar leads. And so it kind of sounded vaguely familiar, and they did that for about maybe 2 minutes, this killer lead, the band's just jamming. All of a sudden, they just slammed into Moon Age Daydream, "Bah, I'm an alligator, bomber." It was great, man. I get goosebumps now thinking about that. It was just really a kick-ass show,
Awesome.
They're great fucking band. Tell your dad about that story. That was pretty cool seeing that. I remember Joey Ramone was bummed out. He told me he didn't see that. He was bummed out when I told him about that one. He was jealous, he said.
That's awesome. Thanks, man. I'm also glad that we're able to sneak in a Kiss Sucks into this episode as well. How about that, Cliff?
Hey, I'm a fan. I always will be. I don't give a crap what anyone says.
Oh, I understand. Yeah, it was funny because Gene Simmons came out. We had only heard of them, and they were supposed to be a big band, and so we're sitting there. It was me and a couple of my surfer buddies, and so Gene Simmons came out, and then he puked blood. A whole bunch of blood. And at that point, we looked at each other. We said, "Let's go smoke a joint." So we walked outside and wandered back and watched some of Journey, and then finally Ian Hunter and Mick Ronson came out. But yeah, that was my first and last time seeing Kiss actually was right there. So.
And well, I have a question for you, Joe. So, Suck This Live, and just the way the band was back then, the way you put the songs together, the way your set, the flow of it, that had a huge impact on our own band. I mean, we just logged right onto that, and we're still there now. And I'm wondering, did you get that from someone else, or did that just come out of you guys and you put it all together that way, the way you strung songs together? I mean, where did that come from?
Well, we used to do that in the early days. Me, Tulu, and Wimpy kind of started that, like going bang, bang, bang in between songs. Like our first 7-inch, We'd Have a Riot Doing Heroin, Fagtown, Terminal Rut. I think that's the order. And so then watching the Ramones, we'd just go bang, bang, bang. And then, we never really had anything to say on stage anyway, which kind of got from Joey Ramone saying that. And we're like, just bang, 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 So to this day, we still like to, I like to play like that. We're so tight now that We don't use a set list, so it's really cool because with by not using a set list, we still go bang, bang, bang like that, but not using a set list. It's like I can tell the guys, okay, like on the last tour, when things were going gangbusters, you can't have it in the set because it won't go over every night. But Mirage off Beat Off, that's a song, if you pick the right spot, it's killer, man. And then, a couple times, we only played it 2 or 3 times in the last tour, but it was just right. The crowd was cheering, everybody was into it, and I turned around and mouthed Mirage, and Alex went right into it, and it really worked good. So that's all part of that, just going bang, 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 and
so you didn't take that from anyone. You invented that.
Ramones, and have nothing to say really.
Right.
So
it's exciting and it makes for a great show. So you guys pretty much you have your set list. You play the same set list, pretty much the same for the entire tour, and you basically memorize the set list because you play it every night, right?
Well, what we do, we look a lot smarter than we are. What we do is like, we'll key off. I'll yell out songs, and like if we play like a certain song, we'll segue into another 4 or 5, and we know where we're going. Like say we'll do maybe like on this last tour, say I Can't Stop Farting in B. That's in B, and then that goes into Night of the Living Queers, which starts in B, and then that comes out of that. I ends on E, and I go into I Spent the Rent, and then from I Spent the Rent, I can't remember what else I do after that, but then it goes. So anyway, we look smarter than we are. We have we know where we're going with these little blocks of 5 or 6 songs, so we can blast through them, and then if I yell out another song, like say, Love, 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 that'll go into Cindy's on Methadone, or Another Girl, or like say we either do Born to Do Dishes or I Was a Teenage Bonehead, that'll go into like a Parasite or Psycho Over You and Deborah Jean. We kind of, right. I don't know, yeah, anyway, we've kind of got it down. We've got these little blocks, and everybody kind of knows. But I warn the guys ahead of time. We talk about it and say, okay, be ready for Mirage if I yell it out. And then I'll do Slug some nights or some. I don't know. It's fun, but it keeps us on our toes too. And I got that kind of from watching Dusty Watson with Dick Dale, because what struck me was he didn't have a set list, and I realized that Dusty had to have his head right up Dick's ass. So that kept the band really, on their toes and really into it, and that's kind of like, those guys have to really be paying attention because they never know what I'm going to yell out, and so that's how we do it. But I always tell this to these bands, I'm like, dude, feed off the crowd and let the crowd dictate where you go. And some nights it's poppy for us, some nights it's like White Minority and This Place Sucks will go over. And so then in that case we'll do more of our harder edge shit like Fuck You and I Like Young Girls or whatever. But the other thing with a lot of bands is like I see some bands, they play too long. You can feel the energy building up, and then they come out and like, we've got 5 more songs, and it's just like you can see the people start to walk out, you feel the energy deflate, and it's like, dude, right then you should have played your last song and let them cheer crazy and come back for more if they want to see it. And so we're the older I get and the longer we play, I'm more in tune with like the crowd and letting them kind of dictate where the set goes. It's really fun, keeps us on our toes, and we kind of don't know. I mean, we could play definitely every night, or we could just play at one on this tour. I don't know. We have a lot of songs. Girl About Town, if it's going poppy, we'll play that song by Helen Love, and it goes over gangbusters. Like I said, Mirage. So it's we've got a lot of songs. Those guys know a ton of our songs, so it's really super cool. We could play, Goodbye California. We started whipping that one off. Met Her at the Rap, Blabbermouth. I mean, stuff that we don't normally play, but they know the songs. I can yell it out because the crowd, I can see where the set's going. So, we kind of like push it every night to try to, get the crowd worked up. And so, those guys are right there with me, so we're playing better than ever. But yeah, it all comes from like Tulu saying, "Let's not stop. We've got nothing. We hate bands that talk on stage, so let's just keep playing in between songs." And like the Ramones, 1, 2, 3, 4. We love that early Ramones stuff. So that's where we kind of took it off from there.
Right on. I dig it.
What's your Joe? We don't want to keep you forever, man. You got to go. You got some tea to drink or what? You want to hang out?
I mean, I'm fine. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Just go down and start going through receipts and get my taxes.
Yeah.
Get my receipts ready for filing my taxes. So yeah, I can sit for a minute longer.
Joe, have you ever considered hosting your own podcast or anything?
Doing my own podcast?
Yeah, just you just have so much to talk about. You're just like an incredible talker. So I just figured you got a lot to say. There's a lot of people that would listen.
No, I never really thought about it. No. I mean, I don't know. Yeah,
Oh, you
no.
should.
Yeah, maybe someday. I like doing it. I don't do too many of them. I did a good one with when all that guy called me a racist, that whole thing was going on. I did a good one with Chuck Livid. If you guys know Chuck from Florida. Chuck Livid.
Heard of him.
Yeah. No, I remember the Livids. Yeah.
Oh,
Is he
those guys?
I don't
From the
know.
Livids?
Is he in the band The Livids? I don't know. Either from Florida. I just know him as.
Those guys from
maybe
Florida?
not.
Is that who you're
Maybe.
talking about?
Well, I
'Cause
just
I remember
my
those
friend
guys.
Chuck
They were
Livid. I
awesome.
don't even know. I didn't know he was in a band. I just do interviews, and I did the last podcast I did was with Chuck. That's why I asked.
Okay.
Cool. Well, if he was in the Livids, then yes, we know that.
Yeah.
But otherwise, we don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, when you guys were on tour over there with CJ, there was that picture. You had Gene the Cop with you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know who Gene the Cop was. I've never met him, but anyway, I did. Did you guys see that comment
Oh, yeah,
I left? It was like a really cool picture of. I think it was in Switzerland.
Yeah.
where he
Yeah.
did,
He said
out
Chris
in the
Farley or
mountains.
something.
Gene was there with his Ray-Bans, and so I was like, "Are you guys touring with a cardboard cutout of Chris Farley with Ray-Bans on?" Because it kind of like Gene in that one picture looked like a cardboard cutout. I don't know. I was hoping he didn't take that wrong if he even saw it.
No, actually, I was when that was I think on my Facebook. So when I got the notification of or whenever I got on Wi-Fi and looked at my Facebook and I saw your comment, I was like, hey, Joe Queer said this, and I think CJ was actually the one that was like, nah, you should just say no, that's Gene the Cop, and I was like, yeah, that's true. I should say that. He probably
That's
knows.
it. Well, that's how. Oh, okay, that's right. That's how I knew who. You're right.
Yes.
Okay, thank you for pointing that out because I didn't know who that was.
Right. Yeah. No.
So,
Yeah.
that was cool. But you know what? That was a good job. You were posting that stuff because it was interesting to see, the tour and all that. Like it was pretty cool. You did a good job on that, and I was following along.
Yeah.
Seeing how you guys were doing, and it looked just like an amazing time. You could tell from your posts how cool the whole thing was. So that was pretty good. I enjoyed all those posts that you were putting up there. The pictures and everything was great.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm very sketchy about Facebook, but CJ in the beginning of the tour, he even said like, look, you guys, you should embrace this whole social media thing. Post stuff that that people wouldn't normally see back home, and that's that's what they want to see. They don't want to see like the same old thing, just you selfieing with a beer or something. Take cool pictures and put it out there and stuff. And it was actually his social media advice coming from a 50-year-old guy.
Well, that's right, because I'm about 2/3 of the way through my book, and it's centered around a tour, and it's all about behind the scenes. It's not like the girl had big tits and was crowd surfing. It's all about the roadies fighting backstage and the trials and tribulations of traveling, which was kind of cool by your post. You were really showing that side of it. And that's right. You don't want to see a million pictures of CJ and you guys playing. It's like, okay, cool. You look, I'm sure it was great, and you look cool. But let's see the crowd shots, or let's hear about, let's see where you went and all that. So you captured that. I think that's kind of what I'm trying to do with my book is, show the behind the scenes stuff. To me, that's the whole thing that a lot of people, they just don't know. They don't know anything about it.
For sure. That's why, like, like Ramones Raw, Marky's thing was like, for fans anyway, it was a lot more interesting to watch than some of the more artistic things that they put out there, because this was all handheld camera of the guys in their hotel rooms, That's
Yeah, 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 yeah. I was centering my book centered around, it starts like it's a bunch of different tours, but it's centered around that tour that we did with Marky. But he like is not figuring much in the book at all. He'll be the first to tell you he's pretty boring anyway. So, he gets exciting when he's on stage, but that's about it. But yeah, that behind the scenes stuff, I love reading books like that, like, Get in the Van and stuff by Rollins. I just eat that stuff up, I love it.
Yeah.
Hey Joe, I heard that you have like a sister who's like a evangelical born again Christian who's always like witnessing to you. Is that correct?
Yeah, my sister's a writer, Heather King. Yes.
Oh.
Wait.
So that is not a rumor. That's real. That's funny. I always wanted to know, so I just thought I'd ask you. So.
Wow. All right. I'm not gonna. We don't pre-script anything on this show, but I was gonna ask you about your sister, because I was like I gotta ask, and then Cliff jumped in. I can't believe you said that. It's really weird. All right. Just that aside. I was listening to Tom Wilson's podcast, and he had Joe's sister on talking about her books and stuff. Tom Wilson plays Biff on Back to the Future. This was like a year or two ago. But
oh, okay. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, after like an hour or so into it, it was really cool because like I didn't know that it was your sister, but she's talking all about like growing up in New Hampshire and lobster traps and stuff, and just living life in Woodstock era, and dropping acid, going to school and all that stuff, and then getting turned around on the right track and stuff. Now she's got like a bunch of books out that are popular in the Christian world, I guess. And but then he starts asking her like about the rest of her family, and yeah, so my brother, he's in a band. They're called the Queers. He goes by Joe Queer, and he was like, "Oh, that's the stage name I was going to take in the '80s," and they said it was already taken.
Good one.
That's awesome.
Right. So yeah, I was wondering how close you were with your sister. I can't believe Cliff asked that though. I didn't even know anyone else knew about that because no one listens to his podcast. Anyway, go ahead, Joe. What do you got to say about that?
She does great with the writing. She was a lawyer and quit, and she gets on NPR and stuff. So she travels a lot. I was actually supposed to meet her January 1st up in New Hampshire. Our cousin is just getting older, and he's a little sick, and so she was trying to get all of us together because there's a bunch of us kids. Our parents passed away. Oh, so what I'm saying is I'm laying low from my sister Heather right now for a week or two to let her calm down. So, but no, she does great with that stuff. She travels a lot, does a lot of speaking engagements, and she was just over in Italy and visited a bunch of my friends over there too. And so it was pretty cool. She does quite well with it. It's pretty exciting.
Very cool, Joe. Tell everybody what you got coming up, man. What's up next for the Queers? Anything you got to plug? Websites, record
February 5th, we are in Savannah. And then the 6th is Drunken Unicorn in Atlanta. The 7th is Montgomery. We're playing a little tiny place, like 65, 70 people capacity. So we're excited about that. Our first gig in Montgomery. But no, then we're doing a 2-weeker up to Canada. We're going to play with the Riptides in Ottawa. And then it's all local bands every single night. So that's going to be super cool. And then we got a couple weeks off, and we head out west to hook up with the Dwarves. Sometime in there, we're going to record a new album. And
are the Riptides still like super Ramones down?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got to see if the Huntingtons, if we qualify as a local band in Richmond, Virginia. Just gonna throw that out there. But No, I wanted to thank you. I know
I
it
think
was
that's
a
a
pain.
no.
Yeah, I
Judging by
know.
the violence.
Sorry.
Yeah.
No, Joe.
I didn't. You guys. I've had a bunch of bands like that tell me about the tour. I forgot to mention it to bands like you guys to get them on the shows, so I kind of dropped the ball. So I apologize. I should have told you ahead of time.
That's okay.
It's all good.
We forgive you.
Yeah.
So, websites? Any websites? Check out queers.com or anything?
Facebook.com. It's all right there.
No, yeah.
All right.
I mean, Mike Park runs our Facebook page. I can't stand Facebook, and so I try to stay off it. So, no,
Unless Josh is touring Europe. Then he's all over it every day.
Stuff like that I love, yeah. But then, other than that, it's just that whole Joe is a racist thing with a nightmare, and that dogs me. But I realize it's not people that know me, so it doesn't bother me. But Facebook is just obnoxious. So, yeah, unless it's cool stuff like CJ's tour, yeah, then I like it.
Cool. Well, Joe, thanks a lot for joining us. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you so much for asking. This is really cool to chat, and I psyched you asked me. It's fun. I'm really excited. Seriously.
Sorry,
We'll
it
have
was
to do a
kind of-
part 2.
Sorry, it was a mess getting you on. I know it was a real headache, so we appreciate you sticking with us.
Oh, no problem. I'm glad we got this thing going. I don't know. It just said all you got to do is enable a camera on the icon in your URL, and I'm like, I can't find the icon, and blah. So anyway, hey, we made it work. So that's great. We made it work, man. So
Right
but
on.
I really appreciate you guys asking me to do it, and hope to see everybody soon.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
Definitely try and catch you on this next tour, and we hope everybody else does as well out there in Canada and the U.S.
That's right.
Joe, you're the man, brother.
Okay, thanks, you guys. Everybody have a good weekend coming up, and I'll see you soon.
All
Do
right,
the
man.
same.
Thanks.
Sounds
Take care.
good, Joe. Thanks a lot.
Bye.
All right. See you.
Oh, he's gonna have trouble hanging